Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Well, if I had to guess, Gavin, I would say that the reason why UK prime ministers don't have sex scandals is basically because they're visually unpleasant to look at.
Yes. The following podcast contains
profanity, boob jokes, and tired comedy references.
Explicit language.
Hello and welcome to the podcast that asks a simple question. You couldn't even come to the conclusion on the meaning of the word is? What the hell were you thinking? I'm your host, Dave Bledsoe, on this episode number 457, When You Wish Upon a Star edition of the show. It's part 2 of Bill Clinton and the finale of Summer Series 2024. Stay tuned. What the Hell Are You Thinking podcast is brought to you by Caca de Perro Cubano, the genuine Havana Roll premium cigar from Fast Eddie's Hot House Humidors. They're introducing the El Presidente Premium. A true executive knows the finer things. Fine scotch, fine women, and fine cigars. And Caca de Perro Cubano El Presidente offers the refined taste, feel, and fit you've come to expect from a fine cigar. No matter where you put it, the El Presidente is sure to please. Caca de Perro Cubano El Presidente. Slip it in. Doesn't that feel good?
Potentially damaging cloud is hanging over the White House this morning. CNN has confirmed that Whitewater counsel Ken Starr has been granted permission to expand his investigation. He will be looking into new allegations that President Clinton had an affair with a former White House intern and then urged her to lie about it. CNN White House correspondent John King is following the story, and he joins us now from the White House. John?
Well, Donna, what began as a search for evidence in the Paula Jones sexual harassment case has mushroomed into another investigation of the president and his personal conduct. Now, sources tell CNN that independent counsel Kenneth Starr is investigating whether the president and his confidant, Washington lobbyist Vernon Jordan, asked a former White House intern to lie about a relationship she says, or at least alleges to have, with the president. Now, at issue is whether the intern had a sexual relationship with the president, something the Jones team wants to prove as part of its sexual harassment case. Sources say Starr is investigating whether Mr. Clinton and Mr. Jordan conspired to encourage the intern to commit perjury, and whether in the process the two men obstructed justice.
It is confession time, pod friends.
Because it worked out so well for me last time.
I have met Bill Clinton on 2 separate occasions in my life. The first time was when I was in the Air Force. I was sent to a nearby Air Force Reserve base with my bomb dog to support the Secret Service during one of his presidential visits.
Can't picture me rubbing elbows with Washington fat cats.
It was a brief meeting, getting off the plane, and he stopped by to do a
Thank you for your service.
like every goddamn politician does when he sees a guy in a fucking uniform. Then he went off to the venue where he was speaking. It was all very quick, and honestly, I'd done stuff like that a lot of times before, and I didn't think much of it. I did notice, however, the man had a certain something.
Charisma.
Yeah, a riz, as the kids would say today. And it left an impression. The second time I met Bill Clinton was years later. It was just after 9/11 when he and Senator Bob Dole, his 1996 election opponent, gave a speech at Georgetown University where I was working as a campus cop.
They fired you, didn't they?
No, I resigned before they get the paperwork to fire me. There's a difference. Anyway, as a supervisor and part of his security detail for the two, I had the chance to meet him and shake his hand again. It was years later, like I said, on the opposite side of the country. I was older, heavier, bearded, and in a totally different uniform. And as he shook my hand, he said, I met you before, right? You were in the Air Force in California. And I was shocked.
You remember me?
He gave his big old Bubba grin and said something like a politician remembers everyone. And he slapped me on the shoulder and kept on shaking hands. But friends, right then, right there, I understood why this man became president, and honestly, why he had so many affairs, because I kind of wanted to fuck him too.
Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
That is the power of charisma in the hands of someone who knows they have it. that I, a 32-year-old heterosexual male,
Allegedly.
felt for just an instant that surge in the old loins over this man's, explain how and why this dude got so much tail. I've spoken to a number of women who met the man in person, and they all admitted that they felt that surge too, and all of them knew he was a total pussy hound. None of them did anything about it, at least nothing that they would admit to me, but they all had that reaction. So if this guy that has that kind of natural magnetism that can get all kinds of women and apparently a few straight dudes all antsy in their pantsies, what chance did a 21-year-old woman interning in the most powerful place in the fucking world have when he turned all that charm on her?
Was it on a scale from none to 0?
Exactly. So as I tell you the rest of the story, keep that in mind and give her a fucking break. She's more than earned it. The origins of all of this predate Bill Clinton sexually assaulting Paula Jones. They go back decades to one
Nixon.
Now, right now, you're asking yourself, wait, did Nixon cheat on his wife? And I would say almost definitely, including with Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Hello, everybody. Isn't this a lovely party I'm giving? I'm so glad I could come.
Gabor's alleged friend, Wendy Lee, told the Daily Mail back in 2010, quote, President Richard Nixon, for example, had an affair with her, which consisted in part of him quizzing Zsa Zsa on Turkish politics. Her first husband was in the Turkish diplomatic corps, and part Zsa Zsa praising him for his sexual prowess and vast endowment, unquote.
I think I'm going to throw up.
But this is not the connection, just a disturbing fact I stumbled upon while I was doing research. The connection stems from other behavior Nixon did, like, crimes. Which, as we now know, weren't crimes when the president did them. But back then, the Supreme Court had not granted the divine mandate of kings to the president, and after Nixon's bullshit, Congress decided that it would be a good idea if there was some way to investigate crimes like Nixon's that were outside the Justice Department control and influence. So they passed a law called the Ethics in Government Act of 1978. It created, quoting from Wikipedia, quote, a special prosecutor, later changed to independent counsel position, which could be used by Congress or the Attorney General to investigate individuals holding or formerly holding certain high positions in the federal government and in national presidential election campaign organizations. The prosecutor, who was appointed by a special panel of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, could investigate allegations of any misconduct with an unlimited budget and no deadline, and could be dismissed by the Attorney General only for good cause or by the special panel of the court when the independent counsel's task was completed. The president could not dismiss those investigating the executive branch. It was felt that the independence of the office would ensure impartiality of any reports presented to Congress, unquote. On the surface, this seemed like a good idea. In reality, it created an investigative agency with no real oversight, unlimited powers that, when in panels, could essentially do whatever the independent counsel pleased.
Who the thought this was a good idea?
Look, Watergate fucked a lot of people up. Now, this law was challenged in court, but it was upheld by the Supreme Court in 1988, back when, the Supreme Court did things like perform its constitutional duties of checks and balances. Every president, while the law was active, it finally expired in 2002, had at least one independent counsel investigation, though only one president was ever charged with anything. There were before and there are after special counsels that are independent investigators appointed by the Justice Department, but they don't have the broad powers granted to the independent counsel. When Bill Clinton's time in the barrel came along, the independent counsel appointed was a cat by the name of Ken Starr.
I know that name.
Starr was a D.C. lawyer, served in several roles in multiple Republican administrations, sat on the bench for the D.C. Court of Appeals, and was the Solicitor General or top lawyer for the George H.W. Bush administration. He was a staunch Republican and part of the Federalist Society. In short, he was just the kind of man that Democrats did not want digging around for dirt on them, and Ken Starr was nothing if he wasn't a world-class digger of dirt and stirrer of shit. So it was in 1994 that Starr was appointed into the independent counsel, looking into the Whitewater allegations, the suicide of Vince Foster, and just really anything he jolly fucking wanted to.
Hold on to your butts.
Okay, I'm going to have to give you the...
Okay, here we go. The short version.
Of the Whitewater investigation, if only to demonstrate how fucking far afield Ken Starr was from his mandate. In 1979, Bill and Hillary invested in a real estate deal with their friends Jim and Susan McDougal called the Whitewater Development Corporation. The company was supposed to create vacation rentals on a river in Arkansas. It is undisputed that the Clintons lost money on this deal. However, somewhere along the line, an investigator looking into the failed savings and loan bank operated by the McDougals became obsessed with the case. L. Jean Lewis was not a fan of the Clintons. She would later be prosecuted for her own crimes and ran a small business out of her office selling merch called Bitch, standing for Bubba/Bill, I'm taking charge, Hillary. How droll. She referred the case to the FBI in 1992, naming the Clintons as witnesses in a crime. The FBI looked at the evidence and said,
there is no there.
All of this was going on while the campaign was going on. Shortly after Clinton took office, Vince Foster, a deputy White House counsel and longtime friend of the Clintons, killed himself in his car in Arlington, Virginia. This set off a wave of conspiracy theories. See, they've been going on forever, folks. And soon it was linked without evidence to the Whitewater investigation. 3 separate investigations looked into the matter, and 3 separate investigations cleared the Clintons of any wrongdoing. So naturally, the case was referred to the newly impaneled independent counsel, Ken Starr. After furiously searching for some kind of malfeasance in the Whitewater affair, Starr had a problem. If the independent counsel with his unfettered power can't find anything illegal,
What about you guys? We ain't found shit.
Then one could safely assume no crime has been committed. So that's it, right? Time to close up shop. Of course not. Ken decided to broaden the scope of the investigation, not out of any evidence or anything, but mostly for just
First bite?
because Republicans hated the Clintons for reasons. I don't know why they hated the Clintons so much. They were basically Republicans themselves. Anyway, remember Paula Jones? We talked about her last week. One of the many women Bill had horned up over the years. Well, her lawsuit deposed Bill Clinton on camera under oath. During one of those depositions, one of the Jones lawyers went on a little fishing expedition based on a rumor they'd picked up. Well, by this time it was more than a rumor. This was the first time that the name Monica Lewinsky was brought up officially.
Mr. President, it's my understanding that Monica Lewinsky has made statements to people.
But at one point they asked him the big question, did you have a sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky?
I have never had sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. I've never had an affair with her.
And to try not to force the President of the United States to use very graphic descriptions. And they hand a piece of paper to the President and say, this is what we mean when we say sexual relations.
So with Clinton's lightning fast mind, he reads this and thinks, well, she might be arousing me, but I wasn't arousing her. And so therefore, I wasn't having sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky.
If she told someone that she had a sexual affair with you beginning in November of 1995, would that be a lie?
It's certainly not the truth.
Well, Bill, it actually was, true. Monica Lewinsky was born in 1973 to an affluent family in California. Her father was an oncologist and her mother an author. Monica was not a political kid, the kind of person in student government who gets degrees in political science with an eye towards a political career. She was a theater kid. Quoting from a 1998 Washington Post article, quote, from 1988 to 1990, Lewinsky attended famed Beverly Hills High School. Unafraid to speak up in class, she was known among the classmates and teachers for her spunk. She was very, very nice, very, very social, extra outgoing, a fellow student said. A very sweet person. This girl was a hard worker who put in long hours in the theater department working on technical crews, a former teacher said. She was working in the trenches. She was not one of those Beverly Hills 90210 girls. After graduation, Lewinsky attended Santa Monica College, a 2-year community college, but she kept a link with Beverly Hills High, working as assistant and the costume designer in the school drama department. In 1993, she transferred for her final 2 years to Lewis and Clark College, a 3,400 student liberal arts college in the Pacific Northwest. Jean Kemp War, a college spokesman, said Lewinsky made the dean's list in one term in 1994, and she was one of about 40 psychology majors in graduating class of 362 in 1995, unquote. Monica landed the prized internship in the White House the way most young people landed such a thing at the time.
Nepotism.
She was the child of rich, influential parents who had connections, and those connections got her the job. This is not to say that Monica wasn't capable or good at her job, or as she was cast in the press at the time, a cat in heat on the prowl for rich, older men. Reading contemporary reports, it is shocking to modern eyes to read the blatant misogyny on the pages of the news. And at the same time, men were like, her? She didn't even have big tits, dude. What the fuck, man? Monica was hot. She was hot then. She's even hotter now. that this isn't relevant to anything, and honestly, I think I should probably stop talking about it. And not just from men. Women blasted Monica, blaming her for being apparently so fucking sexy that Bill Clinton couldn't help himself. This isn't hyperbole. This was coming from staunch feminists who were supporting a Democrat president. But when you sift through the garbage, you find a portrait of a young woman, intelligent, motivated, disciplined, and maybe a little lost for what to do with her life. The internship was something that other people thought would be good for her, and it reads to this pod host that Monica was not really having any better ideas, and she just went along with it, which I fucking understand. I didn't have a fucking clue either. Only in my case, I wasn't fucked by the president, but by Uncle Sam in general, spending 10 years in the military. Their liaison goes something like this. In 1995, Monica began her internship at the White House in the Chief of Staff's office and was hired eventually to a paid position in the Legislative Affairs office. During the government shutdown over the budget in November, while still an intern, she visited a Chief of Staff's office party. In the party, she and Bill chatted, and at some point in time, she flashed Bill Clinton her thong. Thong. This led to an invitation to the Oval Office for policy discussions. And then Monica Hawk toured Bill while he was on the phone with someone from Congress. Over the next few days, there would be more phone call hummers leading to gift exchanges. She gave Bill a tie, and over the course of their relationship, she gave Bill over 30 gifts and received 18 in return, which I gotta say, she came out worse on that one, unless Bill was really paying out for the good shit, which I've never heard that Bill Clinton was a particularly generous gift giver. They would have sporadic sexual encounters until March of 96. Now, Bill, of course, would play that Catholic/Mormon game that defines
sex, the physical act of love, coitus,
as completely different than finger banging or blowjobs or ass fucking or penetration with a cigar. I mean, all of those things are definitely sex.
Oh, most definitely is.
But that was the way he parsed it so that he could say he wasn't lying, which he definitely was. Monica was transferred to a job at the Pentagon because it was obvious around the White House that she was doinking the boss. This hurt Monica's feelings, and she began to complain to her friend, Linda Tripp. We will come to Linda in a moment. The two, Monica and Bill, not Monica and Linda, would have a final tryst in March, and in May, Clinton told her they definitely had to end this whole affair thing because things are getting a little hot on the lawsuit front. There are a lot of lascivious details that I am glossing over, and normally I am one to revel in the lascivious details to the point of making you uncomfortable, possibly with a sexy jazz fuck music soundtrack as a music bed. Honestly, nothing I could write or perform would rival the level of pure smuttiness that Ken Starr would put in an official government document, painstakingly detailing every suck, fuck, and fondle that took place over the 6 months Bill and Monica were doing it. In the interest of candor, I should say that Bill Clinton did not prey on an unwilling victim. Monica Lewinsky herself said this. There was a power imbalance, but she did what she did because she wanted to. And nor was this the first rodeo for Monica with an older married man. She had had an affair with her high school drama teacher after she graduated, not when she was going to school there, but, right after, because that makes it better, I guess. And there was another unnamed older married man somewhere in the mix. Again, these are all her admissions. So Monica had a type, and that type was older, more powerful men, which I guess indicates some pretty powerful daddy issues that are best dealt with in therapy. But in the 90s, this always wound up being dealt with by fucking older married men because that's just where we were as a society. It's nothing to be proud of, but it's nothing to be overly ashamed of either. This is a story with three villains. There's, of course, the big bad Ken Starr. There's a lecherous poon hound Bill Clinton. And finally, there is the betrayer, the Judas, the false friend, and her name is Linda Tripp. Now, it would be so easy for me to indulge in the same kind of petty misogyny that people did back in the 90s. I could play a lot of drops like this.
That bitch.
But this podcast is taking a higher road. Linda met Monica after Monica was transferred to the Pentagon. Monica was unhappy, feeling hard done by, needed a friend, and honestly, a maternal figure. Unfortunately, all she got was Linda. and it did not take long for Monica to begin confiding things to Linda that she really ought to have kept quiet, the biggest of which was her affair with Bill Clinton. Linda Tripp did what a true friend would do. She immediately contacted a high-powered literary agent and pitched a tell-all book.
That bitch.
On the advice of the book agent, Linda began tape recording her phone conversations with Monica, conversations where she would guide Monica into revealing more and more details about the affair.
That bitch.
Tapes that were themselves a felony in Virginia, and when the book agent found out about this and told her this, Linda then arranged to have a meeting with Ken Starr, and in exchange for immunity, turned over all the tapes that she had recorded with Monica. Additionally, she informed that Monica had submitted false testimony to Paula Jones, saying that she did not have an affair with Bill Clinton, and that Monica had retained the infamous blue jizz dress. In an interview years later with Leon Neyfakh for the podcast Slow Burn, as printed in a Politico obit, she said, quote, "Over the course of the 4-hour interview, it was clear that Tripp stood by her decisions, and she had not lost the moral clarity she says informed them. She thought exposing the affair, her original plan had been to write a book about it, was the only way to save a mixed-up kid from the Clintons, both of whom Tripp despised." Side note, the reason why Linda Tripp despised the Clintons is that they had transferred out of the White House to the job at the Pentagon, because she had made it abundantly clear she did not like the Clintons, and it seemed like a bad idea to have someone that hated the Clintons actually working in the fucking White House. But this is neither here nor there. This is just exposition. She acknowledged that she had systematically deceived Lewinsky into detailing the affair on tape and persuaded her to preserve the blue dress that ended up at the center of Clinton's impeachment. Tripp said that she had been guilt-ridden about all of the lying, but was convinced in her soul that in the end, it would benefit Lewinsky.
Fucking bitch.
Armed with all of this, Ken Starr was all...
Got you now, motherfucker.
And his lawyers escorted Monica Lewinsky to a D.C. hotel room and began interrogating her like she was a Maquis resistance fighter in World War II. Federal prosecutors told her that she was facing jail for perjury, and most of all for conspiracy, witness tampering, and that would leave her in jail for decades. FamousTrials.com sums it up, quote, "On January 16th, the day before the president will be deposed in the Jones case, authorization for the expanded investigation came from Janet Reno. That afternoon, acting in concert with Linda Tripp, who had invited Lewinsky to the food court of Pentagon City Mall for lunch.
Fucking bitch.
FBI agents acting for the Office of Independent Counsel seized Lewinsky and escorted her to room 1012 in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. It was there that the OIC lawyers would, for the next 11 hours, press her to cooperate in their investigation by agreeing to wear a wire and secretly record her conversations with President Clinton. Despite the warning that she could face up to 27 years in prison for perjury and obstruction of justice, in fact, 2 years would be a far more likely punishment, Lewinsky refused. Her decision might well have saved the Clinton presidency, unquote. As we all know, she would eventually relent, take a deal, and testify against Clinton. Starr's team brought in Monica's mom, who eventually convinced her to do so. But it took a bigger set of balls than this pod host will ever have to possess to refuse to cooperate, staring down the barrel of nearly 30 years in prison. Because, look, I understand. I mean, bro secrecy, cis secrecy, affair secrecy, it's all in there. You don't talk about you when you're fucking on the slide, but I guarantee goddamn to you, they say I'm going to jail for 30 fucking years. I'm spilling my fucking guts no matter how many times we fucked. No one seems to mention that now or then. And also, I guess we really didn't take the high road after all when it comes to Linda Tripp. The rest of the story, of course, is extremely well known. The Clintons went into the standard admit nothing, deny everything, demand proof, and make counter accusations drill. Bill had a press conference where he said the most iconic line of the entire affair.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Except you did, Bill. You did all those fucking things. You had sexual relations. You banged her with a fucking cohiba on the Resolute goddamn desk. You told people to lie. You loosed a media machine that speared Monica Lewinsky and turned her into the fucking national laughingstock where Jay fucking Leno made a fucking fortune off goddamn Monica jokes.
Welcome to the Tonight Show. Nice to have you. Oh, and happy Monica Day, everybody. Today is Monica Day, of course, across the United States. Is it a federal holiday, I think? Probably. All zippers at half-mast or something? I don't know, but happy.
Fuck you, you big chin Dorito shilling hack. Do another fucking OJ joke, you unfunny piece of shit. Joke stealing corporate ass monkey fuckwad. Dave! Sorry. Leno came up. If you want more of my thoughts on Jay Leno, see episode 436.
That's a plug.
There is a lot to say at the end of this story. I will begin with this. Aside from the
allegedly
sexual assaults and harassments of which Bill Clinton was never charged, never tried, and therefore legally unproven, what happened between Bill Clinton and all the women he was fucking on the sly, including Monica, were not crimes. They are indiscretions, betrayal of his marriage vows, though if you think for a fucking second Hillary did not know that Bill couldn't keep his cock in his pants, and came to some sort of agreement with that, then you're a bigger fool than Monica was. They're more like ethical problems, not crimes. When Bill diddled Monica with a cohiba on the Resolute desk, he was neither the first nor the last to commit adultery in that august space. Nor was he the first, nor will he be the last to do such a thing and lie about it to his wife, to the public, in sworn testimony. Our Puritan sexual mores make sure of this. The actions of Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky were between two consenting adults and not the business of the Office of the Independent Counsel. If Paula Jones's lawyer wanted to file a perjury charge, that was their right, but not Ken Starr's. The case was a witch hunt from start to finish and an absolute abuse of power on the part of Ken fucking Starr. Because Ken fucking Starr did not like
Democrats.
That being said, Bill Clinton should have abso-fucking-lutely resigned as president.
Beg pardon?
Dude committed perjury, obstructed justice, and conspired with multiple parties to hide his actions. That those actions were not criminal acts does not mean the moral and ethical underpinnings of those actions are sound. He fucking lied to the lawyers, to the American people, and told others to do the same, not to keep some dark government secret about aliens and bunkers, but to hide the fact that he was getting his dick wet on the side. He was the fucking president of the United States and damn well fucking knew that his behavior was putting his career, credibility, and respect for the office at risk, all because an intern flashed her thong at him at a fucking pizza party and his dick got hard. That is not a man who should be president. That's a man who shouldn't fucking run a car dealership. His refusal to do the honorable thing set the stage for the colossal clusterfuck that is our modern politics. There is a direct fucking line from Bill Clinton doinking that intern and getting away with it to Donald fucking Trump staging a goddamn coup and getting the fuck away with it. He should have resigned, turned it over to Al Gore, and maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have had 8 fucking years of fucking George W. Bush.
Freak brother!
Also, let's look at this from the power dynamic. You fucking knew damn well that a 21-year-old intern would never say never to a little presidential pain. And you knew that bobbing that intern was wrong, and you did it anyway. Fuck you, Bill Clinton. Fuck you for not doing the right thing, and fuck you for making Monica pay the price for being immature. You're a dickhead, and I cannot believe I ever voted for you, much less wanted to fuck you.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Oh, that is it for our show this week for part 2 of Bill Clinton and part 5 of Summer Series 2024. That's a wrap, folks, and fucking A, am I glad to have it over with. We will be airing a rerun next week because these series are always a pain in my ass, so now that I have this one done, I honestly have to start planning for the Spooktacular in October. Don't start a podcast, y'all. Well, first of all, I don't need the competition, and second, it's a lot of fucking work. So, what have we learned that we didn't know when we started this series? Well, honestly, a lot about presidential fuckery, and honestly, Zsa Zsa and Dick Nixon? Ew, gross. But we mostly learned that rich, powerful, ego-driven men are also very stupid and led around by their dicks.
Just like you.
Fair. But I'd point out that I wasn't asking people for money or political positions, and anyone who fucked me knew damn well what they were getting when they did. Around 7 or 8 minutes of grunting, sweaty, generally disappointing sex.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
So how about cutting me a fucking break? Speaking of cutting a break, rate and review us so people are all around the world can hear roughly 30 minutes of grunting, sweaty, but hopefully not disappointing podcasting. Kick us $1 for lube and condoms at patreon.com/whatthehellpodcasts, and be sure to do all the things Jeremy tells you to do in the closing credits. Otherwise, Gavin will never get that recommendation from him to intern at Pod Save America. And so for me, Dave, when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are, Bledsoe. Producer.
Anything your heart desires will come to you. And my heart desires that he will die someday and I will get to take over the show.
Gavin and all the fictional fuckable interns on this show, we want to say the GOP fucking got what they wished for when they wished upon Ken Starr. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
What the Hell Were You Thinking stars Dave Bledsoe and features Gavin St. James and several fictional minions. The show is produced by Kimberly Steele and a part of the Seltzer Kings podcast network. You can find more information on the show on their website, whatthehellpodcast.com, or on Twitter at @thehell_podcast, or on Facebook as What the Hell Podcast. Thanks for listening.
I have no ending for this, so I take a small bow.
Reruns, nothing but reruns.
Seltzer Kings
podcasts.